Hi, this is Maria Quattrone with Be the Solution podcast. And today I welcome my guest, Joe Evangelisti. Welcome, Joe.
Hey, Maria. Thanks for having me on.
I wanted to be in a business that I did not have a ceiling. Take a pen and a piece of paper, draw a line, draw another line next to it. At 365 days, if you drew 365 lines, you started here with one line, but look how far you've come.
Hey, Joe, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you on. It's great to see you. Happy
too.
birthday.
Thank
Birthday
you.
week.
Thank
Birthday
you.
month for us Leos, right?
That's right. That's right. We celebrate all month. I'm not
We
done
celebrate all
celebrating.
month.
Yeah, I'm celebrating all next week too.
Yeah, me too. I'm still keeping on the celebration. So as I told you, I was sick on my birthday, so we missed that. We missed that day of celebrating. I've never actually spent the entire day in bed on my birthday sleeping. So
Oh,
that was fun. That was a good
oh,
time.
yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like it could have been good or bad, but I guess
In this case,
I'm not jealous in this case. So,
so congratulations. You got your, what is this, your fourth book? Is this your fourth book?
third book.
Third
Actually,
book.
fourth one's coming out in a little bit, but this is the third
Ah,
one.
okay.
Third one produced, and in my opinion, by far my favorite one. I think our best one by far. So I'm excited for it.
So this book has a special purpose behind it.
Yeah.
The book Multiplicity,
Mhm.
and the purpose being the charity that you're supporting. So why don't we talk
Yeah.
a little bit about that, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, we've always kind of behind the scenes given the proceeds of all our books to charity, but this is one of the times we're going big on it. And I was kind of brought into the scene of this charity and a couple months ago. A couple of my mentors and good friends of mine have been supporting this charity for a little while, and I started researching it and started realizing that this is one of those things, Maria, that just I feel like nobody talks about. It's so strange. It's like this behind the scenes thing that happens, in the dark and like behind closed doors. But it seems like anyway. But they estimate between 25 and 35 million people get stolen from their families every year. Get stolen and taken away and enslaved, mostly women and children. Right. And it's sad and it's scary. And this is happening all over the world. And when you think about it, that's like almost 10% of the US population. Like imagine 1 in 10 people that you knew just went missing. I mean, it's unfathomable. And
Yeah,
so
it's super scary.
super scary.
I mean,
Yeah.
you talk about they had something. I know I'm actually down in my shore house today, and
Hmm.
they talked about on Ocean City Boardwalk this was happening. I don't know if you heard
Hmm.
about that. They were
Yeah.
literally taking
Yeah.
very young teens, like, and getting them into vans and taking them, stealing them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's super, like, I mean, it's shocking. I can't even believe in 2021 that this is still going on.
It's
Not even
shocking. Yeah.
across the globe.
It's shocking. It's like it almost seems like it doesn't hit the news. It goes unreported. It doesn't get talked about. It's not mainstream media. Like, and I'm not trying to like, take the light off of what we're talking about. It feels like all we talk about is the same crap over and over and over again. And there's such crazy stuff going on in the world and we don't talk about it, like,
No, there's
and
only
so
there's like two things people talk about.
yeah, that's it. That's our narrative. We're
And
fed our narrative.
and we don't, and you and I don't need to bring either of those two things up.
Mhm.
So
I don't even want
that's
to go
not
there,
our
but
that's
but
not
yeah,
our MO.
but that's why I wanted to support this charity in a big way. And for the book release, I'm so proud and grateful. We were actually able to raise. I think we're like $23,000 this week alone. We've raised for the charity between people who have literally just given out of from their heart and given directly out of their checkbook, and also. I contribute. I matched the first $10,000 of donations that were made this week, and then all the proceeds of the book for the rest of the remainder of this week. In fact, you'll probably be the last show that I do talking about this. But if people, excuse me, if people go to multiplicitybook.com, anybody who buys the book in bulk this week, whether they buy 50 copies or 100 copies, They have opportunity to have coaching sessions live with me and my team for either 2 hours or 4 hours, depending on what they pay for. By far the cheapest we'll ever be able to give these coaching sessions away. And all the proceeds go to charity. So I had multiple people take us up on a 100-book purchase where, they're spending basically $1,000 for that. And they're getting a half-day coaching session with me and my team live, either over Zoom or in person. And so we've had, luckily, knock on wood, we've had multiple people take us up on that, and that those proceeds will all go to the charity as well. So it's really it's been awesome. I think, like I said, we're over $22,000 or $23,000 at this point as I'm talking to you, and I'm sure we'll get over hopefully at $25,000-$30,000 mark this week. And
well,
it's all for charity.
We're going to participate in that, Joe, and get those 100 books and contribute to the charity. So
that'd be awesome.
Look out for our order coming over.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it's great, and it's for the charity. It's for the kids. Anyway, but I urge people, go Google it. Go look up Operation Underground Railroad. Go listen to some of the stories. Go watch their videos and what they do. And I'm not to cut you off, but just pay attention to what they're doing. It's unbelievable when you start to watch. These are mostly ex-CIA, ex-Navy SEALs, ex-Delta Force, ex-operatives that are going undercover, and they're literally putting their life on the line to go undercover, to go steal these kids back and make arrests and figure out who's got them. And the crazy part is, it's a business. These aren't kids being stolen for, like, we think like kids getting abducted. I don't know where your head goes, but when I think about kids getting abducted, I think of serial killers, right? I think of like rapists. I think of these sick people, these demented people, and these are sick people. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of these people are being sold into sex slavery and the porn industry. It's business. They're abducting kids for the sake of business. They're not abducting them to go kill them. They're using them like chattel. And that's the most disgusting part to me. It's like they're trading them, like machinery, like equipment. And
it really is unfathomable.
It's the crazy part. It's unfathomable. It's unfathomable.
It's really, because I was thinking about this last night in preparation for today, and Joe, I really had a hard time really wrapping my head around it at like a deep level. Like, how do you as a human being do that to another human being?
It's
and not one, but
I don't know.
Many.
I don't know what level your head has to be at. I don't know where, what kind of upbringing you have to think like that's your reality. And that's the reality for so many people in so many countries, that this is a real thing. It happens all the time. And I mean, it's happening in the US. It's not happening obviously as much as it's happening in other countries, but it's a normal thing in certain countries, right? It's a normalized thing. And, think of 30 million women and children. It's just so many people. It's just stadiums and stadiums full of people every year, just up and vanish. So, that's, again, I think it's something we need to spend more time talking about, for sure.
Fueled by greed,
money, the ability to feel like, that's their only out, or that's their only resource. I mean, there's even stories on there about how some of these families literally are selling their own kids off because they think that that's the only way they're going to be able to pay to support the rest of the family. Imagine having that go through your head. Again, it's scary. It's disgusting. There's so many words to use to describe this thing, but at the end of the day, they estimate about $2,500 is what it costs to rescue a person from this. So, I look at it this way, there's potential. We just rescued 10 kids this week. And to me, I have 2 little girls. Like, I would pay anything to get one of them back. $2,500 sounds like nothing. It sounds like a pittance. It sounds like, imagine, 10 people being reunited with their family this week because of what, our tribe and our atmosphere and the people that surround us, that support is so massive. And, I'm grateful for it. And I know that, the people that in our tribes, want to contribute to great things, and this is just one of those causes.
So it's great to be able to be surrounded by that folks like that, right? And you design that with purpose. Yeah,
definitely. But that's the part of freedom of relationships, right? It's one of the pieces of the book, right? We get to design the people that we surround ourselves with, good or bad, right? So,
that's
that's and that. That's why I love talking to people like you. It's like, that if you surround yourself with the people who are bringing you down, like the crabs in the bucket, who are dragging you down and having, mediocre conversations or, talking drama or talking negativity all day long, that's what you're going to get. But if you can surround yourself with the polar opposite, people who are talking about abundance and charity and growth and contribution and leveling up and success and giving back and, optimistic and, all that stuff, and you're going to get that result as well, right? It's the same thing. It's just a different tribe.
Talking about it and doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Both of it. So how did you, Joe, the book Multiplicity, how did you come up with this particular theme and where did it stem from?
It stemmed from years of trial and error. It stemmed from years of like beating my head against the wall, like doing it wrong, like trying to figure it out. And, again, I love talking to you, Maria, because I know that me and you have spent so many hours talking about these things and we've been through it and you've been through it. And, I did it wrong for a long time. I did entrepreneurship wrong. I made all the wrong moves. I hired people wrong. I did partnerships wrong. Like I learned as I grew. And so like, I never try to teach theory. I try to teach what works for me. And that's the culmination of Multiplicity was creating the freedoms in my life by working to build a business that allowed me to create the lifestyle I wanted. But then when the light bulb really went off was when I started teaching it to my team, right? When I started to help them create lifestyle within my culture, like allowing people to be on my team and have freedom, be on my team and control their own clock, be on my team and control their own lifestyle, have geographical freedom, work from where they wanted, work when they wanted, spend time with their families, work on their financial future, build their own wealth, right? Allow them to have the five, not even allow, that's the wrong word, teach them, help them, coach them, instruct them, lead them. That's the multiplication effect, right? That's the multiplicity effect. Is it's not about me. It's about caring about them more than my results. And now all of a sudden we multiply together, we build bigger and stronger together because we're all seeing those same results, not just me. It's not just about me. A lot of entrepreneurs, they go into it thinking like, how do I win? How do I win? And I was like that for a long time. Like, how do I get the most out of this thing? And what the light bulb for me that went off, a couple of years back was that, man, if I start to care more about how they win, all of a sudden we start to compound, we all win together. Right.
So what does that look like for your team? Do people on your team work from wherever? Do they have no schedule? Tell us more about that, Joe, because I'm curious. Because I'm actually going through a little bit of this right now, and I'm trying to figure things out because I don't have the shit figured out yet. Yeah. And every day I'm not giving up, and I'm going to keep trying. Yeah. So tell me more.
Yeah. So it all stems from what I call the 5 roads to victory, right? The 5 things that we as people, right, have to dial in first. And so whether it's a one-on-one coaching client or it's an executive on my team or it's someone who just started working with us, which starts with those core 5 things, those 5 roads to victory, right? And so the first one, Maria, is our mindset. We have to get our mindset straight. Every one of it. And by the way, these are universal. I don't care if you're just starting. I don't care if you're the CEO of a $1 billion corporation. I don't care what your ethnicity is, what your sexual preference is, where you live. Like, this is universal globally, right? Every one of us as human beings have to dial these 5 things in. Mindset is the first one, right? Because so many of us are hindered by limiting beliefs. So many of us are hindered by our past experiences or, what we think is possible, like what's holding us back or our value system or, so I have to tap into that with the people that I'm working with. What's keeping you from thinking about the next level? What's keeping you from creating success in your life, in your business, in your structure, whatever keeping you from the next level, whether you want to be a better cake baker or you want to be a faster runner or you want to be a higher performer in sales, right? There's something that's keeping you from that next level. And a lot of times it's our inner voice, right? It's that thing that's like talking to us all day long. It's not somebody else. It might be you repeating what you've heard from somebody else, but a lot of times it's our own. We talk to ourselves more than anybody else talks to us, right? We're constantly talking to ourselves. And so what we're doing when we're talking to ourselves is we're rationalizing.
We're having bad conversations with ourselves.
Yeah, we are. That's what we get into. We're rationalizing stuff that's going on in our world. Right? We're constantly saying, I got a great idea. Let's go do this. And then you hear this inner voice. I don't know. That sounds risky. Do you have enough time to do that? That's gonna kind of take up a lot of my time. Do you have enough money? That's gonna be an investment. Where are you gonna get the people to do that? I don't know. That's not really your unique ability. I don't know if you're smart enough to handle that, right? And if you break that word down, rationalize, we're telling ourselves, Maria, rational lies, right? About why we're not capable, about why we're not good enough, about why we're not educated enough, right? So we're really just limiting ourselves from that next level, right? And Tony Robbins has this great saying. He says, the past cannot control me unless I choose to live there, right? Your rational lies that you're telling yourself, that they can only be based on one thing, and that's past experiences, right? Otherwise, you would have no concept to which to attach the lie to, right? Because if you're focused on the present and the future, there's nothing but abundance. There's nothing but the next level, right? So when we're rationalizing these decisions, we're holding ourselves back into one spot. So we have to adapt the mindset. We have to work on the mindset, number one. I don't care, again, I don't care where you're at, what level you're at, where you're trying to get to. Number one is always mindset. Number two is strategy, right? We have to have a proper strategy. Maria, I always have this analogy. More people will plan their trip to Mexico, right? You ask them about their trip to Mexico. They know how they're getting to the airport. They know what seat they're sitting on the plane. They know how they're getting to the hotel. They know the room. They know the pools. Am I poolside? Am I ocean side? Where's my view? Right? Where am I? How do I have a queen size bed, a king size bed, 2 queen size beds? Right? They know, like, where's the pool bar? What night am I going out? What night am I staying in? When am I going snorkeling? When am I going hiking? When am I going to the beach? They know every bit about their week to Mexico. It's planned out meticulously, right? But you ask them about their life, right? What do you want to accomplish this year? What do you want to accomplish in the next 10 years, right? What do you want your family to look like? What do you want your legacy to look like? What's your wealth plan, right? What do you want to leave behind? You're only on this rock for so long, right? What's it all about? And it's this big gray, bubble, this gray cloud. Like we have this concept of, I want to be big, but what is it? Right? So we have to start to focus on the outcome that we really seek. What is it we really want to accomplish? And then we have to reverse engineer from the outcome, the actual things, and I call them high gain activities and high income activities, right? High gain activities are the things that actually help us personally in our life, right? And then the high income activities is pretty self-explanatory, right? So many people work and they busy work, right? But they're not producing any income. Now, I know that's not you, right? Because I know you very well. And I love the fact that, like, when you go to work, you're thinking closing, you're thinking checks, you're thinking revenue. But so many people don't, right? They'll work 16 hours a day and they won't make $1, right? But they'll pretend that they work their ass off. And I used to do this. So I know again, I don't teach theory, I teach experience. I used to do this. I used to work 16-hour days, call my wife, tell her I couldn't be home for dinner, miss tucking my kids into bed, right? And then I would get home and go, what the hell did I do today? Right? And so the challenge is that those people that, I say this all the time, but those people who are like firefighters, I'm always putting out fires, put out fires. I say they're secret arsonists, right? They're behind the building lighting the fire, right? So that they can be proud about themselves. The other day, they're patting themselves in the back, like, I put out so many fires today. Man, if you're putting out fires, the chances are you're not doing shit. And that's a tough pill to swallow for most people. And they will fight you on that, right? When you talk to someone who's a firefighter, they're like, I'm so productive. And I'm like, you are so not. Let me see your checking account. I'll tell you how productive you are, right? You're probably broke. And that's the reality, right? Those firefighters are the brokest people that you know, because they're chasing all day long and they're not allowing, the real high gain and high income activities to happen. So strategy.
That's the hardest thing. I mean, the first things you do is get those out of the way.
You have to.
Otherwise you get, stuck in the weeds, and then another gate goes by. Talk about that all the time.
Yep.
Your micro commitments for the day, getting those out of the way, and then the day is yours.
I love it.
Right.
And but they got to be the high gain or high impact, right? So whatever
100%.
that looks like, if you
eat the
do
frog,
those,
eat the frog first.
Eat the frog is right. So few people do that, and that. So few people, but that's the toughest part for high performers, is do the tough things first, right? So the third thing is what I call check your toolkit, and this is where people go all over the map, right? When I was in the Navy and I had to deploy, I call it the toolkit because I had to physically bring a box of tools, right? Like if I went overseas to build something, they didn't just drop me off in the desert and say, okay, I'll hit Home Depot and get what I need and I'll go build it, right?
No,
Like yeah, right.
you
I
had to
went
come
there,
prepared.
I had to come prepared. I had to bring my tools. I had to know what I was building. I had to bring everything I needed. So the thing is, like entrepreneurs today, we have all of our tools, right? The problem is we're always chasing the next shiny tool, right? We want that push button overnight $1 million. Like I just want to hit enter once a day and $1 million hits my checking account, right? So we're always looking for these new tools. What I want to do is I want to do an audit on your internal tools. What do you have? What's your leverage with people, your tools, your CRMs, your software, your processes, your systems? I want to see everything you have to your advantage, right? Because so many of us, we have everything we need, but we waste so much time chasing what we think we need to be successful, right? And again, I go back to you, Maria, because I know back in the day, you didn't have all this crap and you made a lot of money, right? I remember back when I got
I
into
had the
wholesale
phone.
game, you had a phone. I started out with a yellow notepad, a pen, and a cell phone. And we were doing 6 figures a month in wholesale contracts 12 years ago, right? I say now it's more difficult to wholesale real estate because of all the damn software, right? It's skip trace this and plug this thing in and make that thing happen, do this. I'm like, guys, go back to the notepad. You get more closings done that way. We're
Right.
pressing so many buttons, we can't get to the closing table, right? And so we have to start looking at efficiencies and effectiveness. In our toolkit,
Mm.
I want to look at streamlining our tools. Stop chasing stuff. And maybe you already have, I mean, let's face it, some of the most productive and best CRMs on the market are free, but you have to get in and you have to press the buttons. Somebody has to go in and put the notes in, right? If you're not using the tools that are at your disposal, it's your problem, not the tool's problem. And there's not some better tool that's going to work better just because you don't press the buttons. You're just going to have more tools that you don't press buttons in, right? So we have to start to make sure our tools are useful to us and then we're actually using them. And that sometimes comes with just getting real about what we got.
Yeah, and not adding anything else into the mix either, Joe. It's like, let's master what we have
Mhm.
and let's dive deep into that. Let's go vertical instead of horizontally. Both with people too, right? So really digging in and going deeper in the organization with what is already in front of you. And there is no shiny
Yep.
object. It doesn't exist. You got to put the work in, got to put the time in, you got to put the calls in, you got to connect with people and build relationships.
Yeah. You got to be asking constantly, is it an opportunity or is it a distraction? Right? Is it an opportunity or is it a distraction? And not convince yourself that everything is an opportunity. Every person that wants to pick your brain and drink a cup of coffee with you is not an opportunity to do a sale, right?
And it's an
You,
opportunity.
yeah, it's an opportunity, right? So you have to get good at saying no, and you have to get good at saying no in a graceful way because so many people, a lot of us are people pleasers, right? We don't know how to say no. We're not good at saying no. You have to get good at saying no in a great way. Like, hey, I'd love to, grab a cup of coffee with you. Unfortunately, I'm super busy right now. I tell you what, why don't you type up your few questions? I'll do my best to get back to you and give you some great answers. And then people are like, two things happen when that happens, by the way, right? Number one, they don't respond to you. Right. So, okay, cool. I just stopped wasting both of our time. Or two, they actually take the time to ask you questions. And guess what? I'll invest my time responding to someone
Yes.
that invests their time asking good questions, right? So it's like you can create, which is the fourth piece, which I'll get into in a second. You can create efficiencies inside of your schedule that create opportunity for you without distracting yourself constantly.
I know that you run a tight schedule, right? You have an 8:30 meeting every day with your leadership team. Is that
Yeah, I do. I
still
do
part of you?
multiple during the week. I do multiple check-ins with different leadership teams, and that's all part of number four, which is controlling the clock. And
Mm-hmm.
this is probably, in my mind, next to mindset, probably the most important thing, right? So, like I always say, Maria, like what do the best sports teams in the planet do, and what makes them so successful? Like if you look at Tom Brady, what makes him an amazing quarterback, besides his just raw talent, obviously, is his ability to control the clock. Like if he's down by 21 points in the third quarter, he's not just sulking on the sidelines, sitting on the bench, going, "Oh, it's over, forget it, forget this." Like, well, why even try? Like, no, he knows exactly how much time he has left. He knows if he throws the ball deep, Maybe he gets a touchdown. Maybe he gets, turns the ball over again, and he can, do it. He knows if he runs the ball, he drains the clock. Like, these guys know exactly how to control the time that they have in order to play the game to the max advantage, right? Well, guess what, Maria? All of us have the same thing. We have what we call the rule of 168. We all have 168 hours in each week. And so does Elon Musk, and so does Mark Cuban, and so does Oprah Winfrey, and so does every person you've ever looked up to and emulated. And we look at these people and we go, well, how did they accomplish so much? Well, the difference is that they find ways to do more high income activities and more high gain activities. So just as much as we have to sleep and eat, pay our bills, take showers, and do the necessities, right? We also have to think about, when are we going to feed our brain? When are we going to read good books? When are we going to listen to podcasts? When are we going to sweat, right? When are we going to make sure that we're taking care of our families? When are we going to make sure that we're taking care of our significant others and dating our spouse and paying attention to our friends and family and checking in with our mom and becoming good leaders to our community, right? We got to schedule that stuff. And when I say this to people, they're like, you schedule family dinner? Like, yes, I schedule family dinner just like I schedule an appointment with my self-storage team to look over a $20 million deal. It's on my calendar. Like, from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m., there's not a 20-minute gap in my calendar. And people are like, that's nuts. Well, guess what? That is the definition of time freedom. Time freedom is not just having all the time in the world to do whatever you want. Time freedom is literally doing what you want when you want by controlling the clock. It's the antithesis of what most people think, right? But you can get whatever you want done whenever you want. And guess what? You can do it when you want, right? You want to schedule yourself to sleep until 10 a.m. every day? Do it, right? Maybe you're more productive at night. I'm not. I'm productive at 5 a.m. That's when I do my best work. So, it's about finding out what works for you, your zone of genius, and then creating a calendar that makes sense to make sure you're your most productive.
Time management is by far, I think, one of the biggest things that people struggle with outside of mindset. And
Yeah.
those are two things that are either going to make or break you.
Yeah.
Now, I actually schedule everything.
Yeah.
My schedule is probably not as tight as yours, but it's pretty damn tight. And I do schedule dinners, like dinner with my husband, family dinner. I want to have dinner with my family. Like, I gave them notice 3 weeks ago for Sunday Italian dinner at the beach for next Sunday.
Yeah.
I ate 3-week notice for that.
It's huge. And it's necessary though. And you're probably if on a scale of 1 to 10, you're probably an 8 or a 9, believe it or not. I coach people who are at a very, very high level in their life, can't manage a calendar. And I tell you what, I tell people all the time, I can look at your calendar and tell you within 10% of your income. Like, I can tell you how productive you are and how much money you make by how well you schedule yourself and what those meetings are, right? Like, what are you doing with your time, right? Because high producers and people who are really making income, those meetings are not bullshit meetings. Those meetings are solving problems. They're moving the needle. They're recruiting people. They're coaching people. They're closing deals, right? They're income producing meetings. They're not just fluff and stuff marketing meeting every Tuesday from, 12 to 4. Like, they're doing things during those meetings. And that's the difference.
Right. And then you have to make, what came out of that meeting. What are the next steps? Right. And then take action on it. And somebody needs to take minutes or something.
Or
right?
to-dos.
So, right. You can't go to a meeting and then I see this all the time. I'm like, well, what happened at the meeting? What was the outcome?
Yeah.
Well, I said everything, how much by when, and don't leave an open loop. Close the loop.
Love it.
You always have to have a next step. Constantly have to have a next step in every way, like whether it's friend, family, client, recruiting, new business venture, next step, and I look at it, Joe, like this. If I can just do and be a little bit better, and that was the opening of the podcast, a little bit better each day in a year, how far have you get? In 2 years, in 5 years, right? Because you and you started the business in the industry in real estate like 15, 16 years ago, right?
07. I got in at the luckiest time of the year.
It was a great time. It was a great time. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I was in,
No.
so I entered a couple years, 2 years before that. So we all started at zero.
Hmm.
We had not zero transactions, zero clients, zero business partners, zero
Yeah.
people in our companies, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's what do you want and how far? And I look back at that and I say, right. So everybody starts at zero. And where do you want to go? And what path do
Yeah.
you want to take to get there? Right. So
Well,
that's
I
all
love
about
what
the
you're
clock.
saying. I love what you're saying, and one of the things that I love, there's a book called oh man, what is Judge's book called? Scale with Speed. So a good buddy of mine, Judge Graham, has a book called Scale with
Oh,
Speed, and
I'm writing that
you would
down.
love it. And
I'm ordering it today.
yeah, no, it's a great book. So
Scale with
in the
speed.
book, he talks about most entrepreneurs don't have an exit plan. And it's true. Like when you think about it, a lot of us go out there, we create this business and we want to build something. But he's like, you got to think about what are you building it for? Are you building a long-term business to scale up and sell? Are you building something short-term, which you're going to scale up like a technology company, and the goal is to scale it up and sell it? Or are you building a lifestyle business like uh, you're just going to work at until one day that you can't work anymore, and then it's going to die off and there's nothing to sell, right? But understanding, and there's nothing right, wrong, or indifferent, like there's no good or bad here, right? This is just trying to understand why you're doing it, but understanding why you're doing it is so important, right? And so just understanding what's the end game for you, right? Is the end game you're just going to work until you work, collect whatever you can collect, and then sell it off, or close it down, or hand it off? Is it a legacy business that you expect your kids to take over, or you're to hand it off to your niece one day, or like so like what is the exit game that you're trying to figure out? Because so many of us just go mindlessly, decades in a business with no strategy. Well, I will figure it out one day. Well, guess what? One day comes a hell of a lot faster than you realize. I mean, we've been in this game 15, 17 years. It feels like I just started yesterday, So I think if people start thinking about the exit before they even get into it, that's massive.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. Nobody talks about that, and nobody talked to me about it
No.
when I started. And gosh, I was just happy to be out of the business that I was in, which was
Hmm.
advertising sales after 11 years of that, and thrilled to be in real estate because I thought, oh my gosh, I can help so many people.
Yeah.
And home ownership is, well, I feel like home ownership is getting harder and harder for people. That's a
Hmm.
a whole nother conversation, but just helping people, helping clients, and then helping the team, and then growing partnerships and growing other
Yeah.
businesses. And
Yeah.
you've had some businesses where you started and you stopped, and you have some
Hmm.
new businesses that are doing
Yeah.
phenomenal,
Hmm.
and figuring out what that looks like. And just because you've been doing it doesn't mean you need to continue to do it.
Oh no, the pivot, the art is in the pivot, course correction, right? Like I have literally killed off some businesses. I've expanded some. I've sold some off. I've given some away. I've closed some down. Like I think you have to constantly be focused on what's the real growth trajectory and what's the end game. And now I'm really focused on businesses with end game, right? I don't regret any of the businesses I've started. They've all taught me something. They've created a stepping stone. It's been a learning
Yeah.
curve. I figured something out along the way. But going back to Judge's book, when I think about it, like Judge had two large 9-figure exits, right? So when you think about like what would you do with a 9-figure exit? You think about that, you're like, holy crap! Imagine if I had a business that could do that, and now I could exit that way. Like that's a whole different conversation. Like I don't think a lot of business owners even conceptualize a sale, let alone one that could help me retire when I'm 35, 40 years old, and then do it again and do it again and do it again. And so I think so many of us get stuck in the day to day of what we're doing and don't think that there's something bigger out there, or don't want to chase that something bigger. And a lot of times that something bigger is no harder. It's not harder work. It's not different. It's just different zeros, right? And so again, it's that mindset thing. It's that self-limiting belief. It's like, you could be working just as hard and tack 3 more zeros on the end of it. Why not? Right. So, a lot of that stuff is eye-opening when you start to really think about it.
Let go of the vine.
Absolutely. Let go of the vine, start to trust people. Again, the multiplication effect of that is start to trust people. And when you teach and coach and help grow them as a leadership team, now give away, give away some of the equity, give away some of the ability, but allow and trust the accountability and the responsibility, because those people now have those tools to go retrain and reteach and grow people underneath of them. And that's how, that multiplication effect starts to create, right? So, people are so worried about, even having an employee to give responsibility to. But like when you start to really embrace the abundance mindset, you start to reteach it, you start to help people and really care about them, I think is what it comes down to, right? It's not a plug and play. Like you can't just like hand somebody the book and say, okay, read this and get back to me and go grow a business. Like it's not that. It's a duration. It's like a actual caring and coaching and leading and by the way, you have to do it. Right. I think that's the other part that's missed a lot of times as entrepreneurs. We think that we can just like invest in it and not do it and then expect other people to do it. Being, plugged into the multiplicity, environment is you have to lead from the front, right? Like these people drive me to get out of bed early in the morning. They drive me to be successful. They drive me to show up at the gym. They drive me to be a better person than I probably would be if I didn't have them. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, well, you have now responsibility for, I don't know how many people are in your group now, but a lot of families.
I don't either. A lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. So you have a responsibility for a lot of families, and you got to show up as the best that you can. And some days, and some days it's hard to do. Some days it's tough, right? And the difference is how fast are you going to get back up and keep going? Because the longer you sit there and, I don't know, something really, I don't want to say bad happened, but it really went sideways and you're upset about it. And it's like, okay, how do we be the solution? How do we figure out how to move past this? And sometimes it's really hard because sometimes it's things in the family that are going on and it's holding you back because you're stuck for a second. I've been there and I know what that feels like. And, recognizing that somebody's going through that and even helping them, helping them see that there's something else there.
Yeah.
And, and I know one of the things I learned in the last couple of years is, and in so much in the last year and a half, trust equals capacity.
Yeah.
So the more that we can trust the people that we bring into our organizations, the more that the organizations can grow. And I don't know, I don't think it can grow any other way because I tried it other ways and it didn't work.
No, it's 100%. You have to, the only way you're going to expand is if you leverage other people's ability to grow. You leverage other people's ideas to create other great ideas. Like I would not be where I was if I didn't hire people that were better than me at the things that they did. Right. And I think that that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of entrepreneurs, especially ones with egos that think that they're better at everything. And they're like, that old adage, like, if I want it done right, I got to do it myself. I'm the opposite. If I want it done right, you don't come to me. If you want it done right, if you want it done, don't email it to me. Like my email is the black hole of death. Like you're not getting replied from my email, right? Like if you want it done right, I'm going to find the person on my team that can do it for you. Like, and so like, that's the mantra. It's like, how do I find great people to do that thing, or, to find the team or start to build around that process? Once we have a process that I know that works and can create revenue, now I'm trying to find the amazing people that could take that thing to the next level and come give me feedback and say, okay, Joe, we could take this from 10 sales to 20 if we do this. Well, let's try it. Right. And I'm there to support and to coach and to invest in that process, not to tell them how to do it.
Absolutely. I say all the time, I'm only good at like one or two things and everything else. I say, I'm like, I'm definitely not the person for that. We have the people. That is what they specialize in.
Yep.
And, like, just like in real estate, for example, like a contract. I have not opened up a DocuSign to write a contract in more than a decade.
Yeah.
Way more than a decade. I wouldn't even know how to go in there and do it.
No. Yeah.
Right. Like things like that. I'm just saying, using that as an easy example for people to understand. You really need to have the right people. One of the things I was listening to, I got up early today. I'm not a 5 a.m. riser. I know that you are. I'm not. I'm like 6:30 usually. and I go to like I work to like 7:30 usually, and I start at like 7:38. So whatever. Anyway,
Yeah.
I was up
There's
really
nothing wrong
early
with
this
that.
morning.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. That's
Yeah,
your
yeah,
zone of
yeah.
genius.
So
Yeah. So people
yeah,
listening
I mean, so
understand there's no, I hate that. Like 5 a.m. I'm better. Like I just am better at 5 a.m. There's nothing wrong with that.
so
It's not like I'm,
here's here's funny because this morning I got up. I think it was like 5:10 or 20 or something, and I'm like, all right. So I'm looking on Facebook, and then I'm like, oh, I go back to sleep. I'm laying there, I'm not sleeping, so I'm like, F this. So I get up, and then like I'm taking these trainings. I'm doing these trainings, and so I said, you know what? Let me get started with my trainings. So I got 3 trainings in this morning, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like wide awake, not even tired. So I don't know. I'm gonna we're going away in a couple weeks, and my husband's like, okay, the week before we're gonna go to bed at 8, and we're gonna get up at 6. I'm like, if I go to bed at 8, I'm gonna be up at like
no.
4:30.
All right. You want to know the secret?
Yeah.
The secret is don't worry about when you go to bed. Just wake up. Right? Because here's what happens. It sucks to get up. I don't care what time you go to bed. But if you go to bed early, you will not fall asleep. It's like if I said to you right now, go lay down and fall asleep. You're not going to fall
No,
asleep.
I'd have to
10
take a
o'clock in the morning.
You know what? You know
Yeah.
what I would do? I'd be taking an
Yeah.
Advil PM.
Yeah, but here's what happens. If you really do want to get up earlier, for the people that are listening to this and want to get up earlier, and again, this is not like a who's better than who can get up earlier, because I hate that like whole competition thing. It's not about that.
Yeah.
But if you do find yourself, and the reason I do it, frankly, is I don't love getting up early. It's a routine now. I've been doing it for so long. I like being able to get my routine over because I have 2 young girls, and I want to have all of my routine done before they wake up in the morning for school, so I can spend an hour with them before. Like my routine in the fall is I do my thing, and then I get them up and I get them dressed and I have breakfast with them. And if I wake up late, I'm not going to be able to do my thing and still be prepared for work. So I do my thing, and so I'm up at 4:15 most days, right? But the trick is say you want to get up at 4:15. It's commit to doing it for 5 days. Period. Just all you have to commit to is I'm getting up at 4:15 for 5 days. Everything else is off the table. Okay. You want to go to bed at 6 o'clock at night? Do it. Right? All you have to do is get up at 4:15 for 5 days. That's all you need to focus on. The rest of your routine will fall into play. And before you know it, you'll be fine getting up at 4:15. And you'll start going, because people are like, what time do you go to bed? I go to bed at like 10:30, 11:30 sometimes. Sometimes I sleep 4 hours a night. Right? But then every random 3 or 4 or 6 days, I'll sleep till 8 o'clock. Right? Like I'll go to bed at 9 and get up at 8 a.m. So like every once in a while, I need to reset. I need to like have a full 10 hours of sleep. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. Again, you have to sleep when your body needs the sleep. Sometimes your body doesn't need the sleep, doesn't need 8 hours every night. I can do 4 hours. I can do 6 hours. Sometimes I take a half hour nap at 3 p.m. Right? Sleep when your body needs the sleep. Right? Don't listen to your body, guys. Like it's not a competition. Just because Maria gets up at 6:30, Joe gets up at 4, you get up at 8. Again, controlling the clock is doing what you need to do when you want to do it. Like I have coaching clients that are amazing at 10 p.m. to midnight. That's their zone of genius, man. They sit down in front of their computer, they write content, they get stuff put together, they got their calendar. I am a pile of mush from 10 to 12. Right? I'm in bed watching Netflix from 10 to 12. That's my time to decompress. I can't do anything from 10 to 12.
I'm decompressing definitely
That's
at
it.
10.
Yeah.
I'm good till about 7:30, 8, and then I might cook dinner, eat dinner, and then maybe do something for half an hour. I'm doing these. I told you I'm doing these training videos, so I might do a half-hour training video, and then I watch something really stupid, like tell the truth.
Yeah, well, I watch stupid stuff, but I do it at night.
Like, for like 20.
That's my
for
time.
Like a half an hour from like 10 to 10:30. Then I go to bed. But anyway.
Yeah, so, the truth is, after 8 p.m., I don't want to think about work. I have a rule with my wife, actually. This is another kind of trick, and I don't know what you do with your husband, but like I have a rule that we are not allowed to talk about work after 7 p.m. Don't ask me about a rental property. Don't ask me about my coaching clients. Don't ask me about storage deals. Like, because what happens is I have to turn it off, or I will wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning thinking about, a bank deal or whatever, a coaching client's problem. And I'm like trying to solve their problem at 2 o'clock in the morning. So like, I have to like stop and shut it off from 7 p.m. and not even think about it for the rest of the night. So I do need to watch stupid stuff on Netflix from, 10 o'clock on, because I need my brain to disconnect.
I need my
So
brain to disconnect because they'll say, someone will say, why are you watching that stupid show? And I'm like, because I
yeah,
don't want to think about anything. And if
exactly.
I'm not
Yeah.
watching something stupid, like super
Yeah.
stupid, Joe, they're
Yeah.
super
Mhm.
stupid.
Well,
And
I watch like car rehab shows and like restoration car shows and shit like that. I don't know how stupid that is. I guess it's fairly stupid that people don't care about it, but
but it's good because you need time to decompress and then also
yeah.
time to think.
Mhm.
I say the magic happens, Joe, when nothing is happening.
Great. Yeah.
Nothing
Great.
happening. Liz Ann saying she watches General Hospital as her
General
go-to.
Hospital. Man, I got to tell you,
Hey,
my
Liz Ann.
mother-in-law, and my wife, when I met her for the first, well, I think we're together now like 16 years. When I first met them, um, my grandmother, her grandmother, because she was living with my in-laws when I met. General Hospital was on every day. Like that was like the family show. It was on like for 10 years when I first met them. So
I
General
can't
Hospital,
believe it's still on. I
we have a
didn't
lot of
even know
running
that.
jokes. Yeah, a lot of running jokes about General Hospital in my house.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
I don't know.
gosh.
I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they keep something going for that long, and it's like the same character and the same crap happens day in and day out. I don't know. Anyway,
I don't
we're
know. I forgot about their shows actually because I'm never, ever, ever home in the middle of
yeah,
the day.
yeah,
And I don't work from home. I do go to my office pretty much on
yeah,
the daily these
yeah,
days anyway.
yeah,
Soon that will change, I'm sure, but for now.
yeah, yeah.
So speaking of businesses, Joe, let's talk a little
Mm-hmm.
bit about what you have going on. I know you
Yeah.
have a coaching business, and you
Mm-hmm.
started that about 5 years ago or so?
Yeah, I've been
How
in the
long has it
coaching
been?
space for 5 or 6 years. I started out in the mastermind space where we did group mastermind coaching, which is, essentially we would do events 5, 6, 7 times a year, group call once a week, and that was a great environment. That's kind of the environment I grew up around. And when I first got into um, getting into hiring coaches and hiring mentors and stuff like that, I jumped into the
Hmm.
mastermind space, and so I was just kind of like practicing what I preached, right? Like I was paying 30 grand a year to be in a mastermind 8, 9 years ago, and I learned it, and I said, you know what, I can do this, I can teach it, I feel confident, and it worked really well for a long time. But over the course of time, Maria, it got a little bit frustrating for me because what I found was, and I'm not knocking those groups because I still belong to some of them and I will continue because I think there's a purpose for them. If your mindset is right and you know why you're there and you have an outcome in mind, right? Then I think you can get what you need to get out of a mastermind group. So I'm not knocking them and I still belong to them. But the problem is when you're in a group like that and you don't get crystal clear about the outcome you seek, people can hide in those groups. And so you'll have these group coaching calls and people will be like, all right, yeah, everything's great. And then like 2 weeks later, you'll get a text and it's like, hey man, I'm having a really terrible month. Like I can't even send you my payment this month. Like it's that, and you'd be like, what's going on? Like you just told me on the last call, your life was amazing. Like what's happening? So I get to this point where I would feel personally responsible. Like I was screwing up. Like I wasn't helping these people enough because I couldn't peek behind the curtain. I'm on a call with 10, 15 people and 1 or 2 of them are having problems. I don't know about it. Right. So
Mm.
I switched over to the one-on-one space, Maria, about a year or so ago, and it's night and day because you just can't hide, right? It's me and you. We're on a call. Like you ain't going nowhere, right? And the results are drastically different. Like the results my coaching clients get now are it's unbelievable. I mean, seeing the people's change. I mean, people crying on the phone, people telling me
Mm.
that their marriage has changed, their life has changed, their business has changed. It's just one of those things that like I get so much more passion out of working one-on-one with somebody. And truth be told, it's a shit ton more work. Like I only do it for the passion. I don't do it for the money because it takes me way more time than the mastermind group did. But the results of being able to help people one-on-one is so much more fun than doing it in that group environment setting. So, it's a very niche process for me. It's a very niche business. I can only take so many clients on, obviously, because it's one-on-one, and so I do that, kind of as a part-time thing. And then, of course, we have the other companies. We still have the development companies and the e-com company and the media company and all that other stuff.
Yeah, so what's going on with the storage space, the development?
Yeah,
I hear it sounds like it's doing unbelievably well.
yeah, yeah. Storage is incredible. We're on our fifth site. I think our sixth closing. I don't think our sixth closing is 2 weeks away, which is going to be down in Florida, and I think we have like 12 in the pipeline for the rest of
Wow.
this year. And actually, my chief development officer, who's from Denver, actually is in town today. I'm getting ready as soon as I leave this call. I'm gonna head back to the office and go meet up with him. Um, it's just gangbusters. It's crazy. It's one of those industries that we got into about 3 years ago, and pre-COVID, and then of course nobody saw the shift. It was almost like we hit the lottery because retail softened and office softened, and even apartments are starting to soften, and a lot of the commercial industries are just rapidly changing, and you're seeing it. You're in the real estate industry, and I knew when I got into storage that it was a very stable industry for the last 50 years. I mean, across all of the recessions, up, down, left, right, and sideways, real estate. I mean, I'm sorry, self-storage has just been a steady rise for 50 years. Well, during COVID, it remained rock solid, and has still steadily increased. And now we're in a place where, like I say, we hit the lottery because we're really pure developers. We're not going to manage these deals. We're going to have like your third party nationwide companies like CubeSmart and Extra Space, and they're going to manage those for us. Those guys are buying up deals like crazy right now. It's like a feeding frenzy because they want to control. It's a battle of control. They have cheap money.
Oh.
They want to buy deals up. So as we're developing them and we're in that process of delivering them, we literally have guys that are guys. I mean, third party, nationwide teams like that are bidding them up and looking to buy them up, and so it's a really good spot for us.
Are you raising capital still for that, or investors, or?
Yeah, it's all accredited investors. So obviously they have to be accredited. Usually the minimum is $100,000 per share to buy in. And our team in New York is actively raising deal by deal. I think the Florida deal, which is the next one up, is already funded, but we have 2 more deals coming in September. So but we're actively raising.
Awesome. How about the e-commerce?
E-commerce is it's another crazy industry, and it's funny, they're almost it's funny how they're almost tied together. Completely different industries, obviously, but they're almost tied together because in the storage business, like, one of the reasons that we're so successful, and we can be, is we actually will repurpose big box, right? So like one of our deals in New York, we're taking an existing darkened Kmart, we're converting it to self-storage. The reason we're able to do this, why, is because big box is only going one way, and it's backwards, right? Like, think about it. Like, you're seeing, I don't know if I don't know what your house looks like, but I have 5, 6, 7 packages a day show up on my doorstep, and Bezos and Walmart and all the big players in the world, like, they're starting to figure it out. Like, we want convenience, right? Like, I'll pay an extra $1 to have my toilet paper show up on my front steps so that my wife doesn't have to jump in the car and go pick it up, right? Like, so these stores are, they're Sears, Kmart, I always say, like, Circuit City's not coming back, right? So it gives us an opportunity in the storage world to take on those properties, usually at a discount, because there's no competition coming into that space. And again, it's kind of like e-commerce, which we sell, done for you e-commerce stores, so that people can make passive income online as an investment. It's kind of funny because we're doing it on one side, we're helping people create opportunity in the e-commerce space, but on the other side, we're actually buying the defunct big box stores that e-commerce is kind of putting out of business. So it's like it's kind of funny. We're on both sides of it. It wasn't really designed that way, but that's where the world's going. I look at the big picture of what's happening, and I say to myself, we went from 25 to 35% of the economy went online during COVID, and it's still going that way. And I don't think it's going backwards, because it became eye-opening to people that, hey, this is the convenience that I can get. And what really got my attention, Maria, and this might be true for you, is when I started to see, like, the baby boomer generation. Like, my dad never ordered anything on his phone ever, and then we're sitting there around the dinner table during COVID, and I remember he was like, his hearing aid batteries, he's like, I'm having a hell of a time trying to find these batteries. I went to this battery store and that battery store, and I'm at my phone. I go, what's the serial number? And he's like, N255621. And I'm going, is that it right there? Where'd you find that? I go, they'll be at your doorstep tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. I got you 15 pairs, so you don't have to worry about it. Right. And it was like he was dumbfounded. Like, how does that happen? I go, it's called Amazon Prime, Dad. I said, let me know if you need anything else. Right. And then all of a sudden he's using it and my in-laws are using it. So now it's this whole new generation of people realized how efficient and effective e-com is. And now all of a sudden, I think that those people aren't going to go back. Post-COVID, whatever happens next, right? They're just, it's convenience. It's convenience factor. So I think we're only going one way in the e-com space. So, I love having that team there that helps get people into that world as well, because again, I think that's just going to continue to grow.
So people are investing in websites, that produce revenue based on advertising and selling products, or?
Yeah, they're actually partnering in storefronts, which are selling e-commerce products. And a lot of them are like household products, like electronics, small electronics. They could be like the thing that, you set your iPhone on that charges it at night, or, something like that. But most of it is, household goods and items, your Lysol wipes, your small TVs, like stuff like that. And anything that you could see yourself buying on Amazon. The truth is, people don't realize that Bezos doesn't own all these products, right? He like 99% of those products that you buy through Amazon, he makes his money being the logistics guy. He gets a piece of the pie, but they're not his products, right? People are selling through his storefront, and these gigantic Amazon warehouses, these fulfillment centers that he's building them for logistics. He doesn't own the products, right? He's building them so he can deliver the products, but he's smart because he doesn't have to have the inventory, right? He's just making a little piece of everything that goes through those stores. So really what you're doing is you're building a storefront and you're partnering with us to do everything inside of that storefront. And you're plugging in your credit, right? So the store gets paid, and then your credit, you have to use your credit to pay for the products. And then every 2 weeks, the credit gets replenished, and there's a profitability margin, right? So you're making profit off of the products that are sold through that storefront each and every month. But all of the front end work, all of the picking the products, advertising the products, selling, and just, customer service relations and all that stuff is done for you by the team. And the profit is then split in various different ways, depending on what store and what type of investment you make on the front
end. Interesting. What's the company called?
It's called Mammoth Ecom, mammothecom.com.
Mammoth Ecom. I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah, it's a great team. They're excellent and very knowledgeable.
How long have you been in that space?
Over a year. It's constantly evolving. It's one of those spaces that's like you have to be on the forefront of it, because, first it was Amazon was the big play. Now it's Walmart is a gigantic play. The teams that we're working with directly are already looking to the future. What's it going to be in 2 or 3 years? They're thinking it might be Facebook Marketplace. So the cool piece about our partners in that space is we're constantly looking at what's the next evolution. So our partners that are invested with us in these stores are going to be on the forefront of the next cutting edge thing, right? Because there's always in e-com, there's always that next shift to where people are, processing and buying their goods.
Yeah, it definitely does not stay stagnant.
It does.
And then,
no.
How did you get involved in that?
I kind of fell into it because of some friends and partners of mine. I bought a couple of stores myself, and we really started just getting connected in conversation about what that looks like. And in being practiced on my own, I said, man, this works. This is definitely something we should be doing. And then it was like, you tell the story to somebody and they're like, I want to do that. So, internally my team was like, we should really build this thing out and bring people along for the ride. And, inevitably it turned into a business like anything else.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm interested in learning more about it.
Yeah.
That's cool. So that's number 3. We have the coaching, the development.
Yeah.
Mammoth.
So right now we're at, I think that's really that. I mean, that's the culmination of it, right? It's self-storage development. It's e-com space. But obviously the podcast, which you've been on, Legacy Blueprint podcast, and the book. So
that's great.
It's a big focus right now.
It's great focus. I love it. Yeah. I love talking to you because you're such a like, first of all, you're such a great guy. Like, you just have a big heart, but you're such a big thinker and all these different things. Like, you didn't know shit about this other stuff 10
No,
years
I
ago.
mean, no, I didn't know
Right?
shit about any of it. No,
Five
any of
five
it.
years ago, like,
Yeah.
did the real estate side, but you didn't know self-storage. I mean,
No.
that was a great play. That is like,
Yeah.
and there's no people involved, meaning you don't have people that live in a house.
In-house for the sub-storage. Oh, no. Yeah,
No,
no,
I'm
that's
talking.
no. As far as the management, the day-to-day, like there's no, in my mind, there's no better type of real estate to own. I mean, you're storing people's crap, for lack of a better term. I mean, it's
And you know what happens? They never take it out.
they never take it out. They
They
never
just
take it
keep
out.
paying. It keeps dinging the Visa or Amex or whatever every month. Ding ding.
I'll tell you
Ding, ding.
a funny, quick, short story. One of our investors is a doctor at a local hospital, right? And I first talked to him last year. He says he's like he's a little quirky. You know how some doctors are a little funny. And he
Sure.
says to me, I'm on the phone with a guy for like 3 minutes. He goes, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to invest in you, but I'm going to tell you why. And I'm like, okay, you're going to tell me why you're going to invest in. So he was like, I already saw your prospectus. I love the deal. He goes, I'm going to tell you why I'm going to invest in you. And I'm on the phone. I'm like, oh, okay. So he goes, I got two boys. I got two sons. He goes, my ex-wife died 12 years ago while they were in college. My ex-wife died. I go, okay. He goes, I told my boys while they were in college, I will put their mother's stuff, all of her stuff, into storage, and I'll pay for it for 5 years. But after 5 years, it's going to be their responsibility. They're going to be, by then they'll have graduated, they'll have real jobs, they'll have real lives. They got to take care of their mom's crap after that. Right. And he goes, that was 12 years ago. He goes, I don't think, Joe, that they've ever been to her storage locker. And he goes, and the day 5 years hit, I gave them the bill and they split the charge every single month. They pay the bill. So she's been dead for 12 years. They've had all of her stuff in storage, and there's probably 1.5 inches of dust inside that storage locker. No one's ever been in there to check on it. And he goes, that's why I want to invest in you. Like, okay, well, everyone's got a storage story though. It's funny, right? Like we all have these, like, I stored my stuff there parts. But the funny thing is that storage affects such a vast dichotomy of people, right? It's transferees, it's moving in and out, it's downsizing, upsizing, it's contractors, it's attorneys that are storing files. Like, it's such a vast segment of our population that we cover. And for that's why I kind of like it. There's so many different varieties of people and walks of life. That's what insulates it during different ups and downs in the economy.
Yeah. Well, there is one thing, Joe. People are not getting rid of their shit, and they are accumulating more and more shit, because I've seen these. I've been in those houses. I'm like, you got to get a storage locker and get rid of this shit, or throw it out. We don't have a storage locker because our house is big enough for the crap. But I also I threw out a lot of stuff, and I'm going to be, when we move, hopefully we find a house soon, Joe. Hopefully, when we move, we're going to throw out more stuff. Yeah. So, but most people do take the storage locker, and I think it's a great business. It's a phenomenal business.
Yeah, I love it. I'm excited for it. So,
I love it. Great stuff. You have to let me know about those upcoming deals. We'll take a look at them. Give your New York team my info.
I will, for sure.
Because we talk about investing, real estate. I'm in real estate, right? I'm in the business. We're starting some other businesses too, but the real estate space is where it all started. And Ani, I don't want to have tenants.
Yeah.
It's a headache. I just don't want to be in that. I don't want to be in that part of the real estate business. So we are looking for, other options. So definitely interested in hearing more. But I appreciate you. This has been great.
Yeah.
It's a great podcast, Joe.
That was exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the book. We'll be placing our order for that, so look out for it. And if you could drop the actually, I have it. I'll just put it in the comments. So people have it. They have the link to get the book, so we can support the charity and help those people.
Yeah, so if they want to do the like I said, that link will be good just for today. We'll take it down at the end of the day, but they go to multiplicitybook.com. They have to register on there for the multiple book purchases, because if they just go on Amazon and buy multiple books, we won't know about it. We have to know
Okay.
about it through that link. So,
So
if they wanted to do a coaching piece of it, they have to go to multiplicitybook.com.
awesome. Well, this is great. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
Had a great time today, Joe. And I will see you soon. Enjoy the rest of the summer.
Yep. Thanks for having me. Talk soon.
My pleasure.
Bye.